Hi, Miguel. How you doing this Friday?
Hi, Reed. Everything is good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you for being on. I'm glad to finally get a chance to get you on the channel and talk shop a little bit.
Yeah, we've been meeting around in several conferences, right? But never had the chance
Exactly.
to be in the channel. Yes.
Yeah, and I think it's certainly a good time in the industry with a lot of the new technology and everything coming around, and Fabric becoming more and more mature as we continue to get all the cool announcements between Build and Ignite, and especially some of the new stuff at FabCon. Out of curiosity, like with that having recently passed, were there any standout favorites that you had from that conference of like newly announced features or anything?
Yeah, one of them is one that connects directly to this session of today. That is the Tyndall viewer, as Ruderman calls it, inside Power BI desktop. So as we have SQL query, we'll have a Tyndall viewer that will allow us to make the changes to our semantic model in a programmatic way. So that one is a really cool one that I saw. And then we have everything around AI, especially the ones where I'm really excited, especially about the ones where we can have coding just by making some questions. So I'm not a developer, a programmer
Yep, yep.
by by training. I come from finance, so but we can currently just ask ChatGPT or or in this case ask Copilot to just give us the code for a Python notebook, and everything gets there, and then we can just try and read it and just select, and we can also compare SQL statements and all of that. So
Yep.
that one I'm also really excited because that I think shows more the productive part of the AI, uh, not only the all the technical aspects that you can build on top of it, right? Because you can build a lot of on top of AI. But if you want to have a quick start on a Fabric project, for example, with notebooks and all of that, you
Yep.
can just do it there. And I think that part is exciting because, as they showed, that part currently is working. I'm not saying the rest is not working, but it's always
Yeah.
it's not fine tuned, right? This one is also not fine tuned, but it's giving results when you try it even
It,
on the
exactly.
current version.
The to make a comparison a little bit on the AI stuff, I feel like the Copilot and AI is a little bit of like the autopilot that Musk continues to to showcase with Tesla. We're like it's a really cool idea in design and it demos very well, but depending on how it's used, it works better or worse in some places. It's still
Yeah,
a I'd still say it's a great assistant, but it's an assistant that's learning and still needs quite a bit of hands-on assistance with stuff. So I'm very hopeful for the future of all of this stuff, but I'm um, still like I'd say reasonably using it, but not like overusing it quite yet. I
yeah.
think we're finally
That's
at
why.
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I'm more into those parts where we can say, okay, I want to write this code, just give me the start, and then I can,
Yep.
on top of it, build, right? Because if we ask a complex thing, I don't think we'll get a good result, right? Especially if you don't
Oh
know
yeah.
what you are reading. So need to be careful
One
on that.
of one of my well two favorite things that I'll just quickly mention on that, and the first is just the I found it really useful with the new lens feature, where you could take a picture of something. So as an
Yeah.
example, I'm a huge fan of Futurama, the TV show, and
Yes.
they have an
Also.
alien language in the background all the time of like alien characters like spray painted on a wall. People on the internet have like translated that years ago. I just took a picture of a recent episode, a new one of like what does this say on the wall? And it says, "Oh, this is the fictional alienese language in this universe." It likely says, I think human meat only or something like that. But it just instant translated that. Like that
Yeah.
is a very useful feature. I used to have to go to Reddit
Exactly.
to ask somebody to translate that. That and to your point, just the code translation customers who give me 2,000 lines of SQL code, and like we need to convert this to a data pipeline or Power Query
Yeah.
steps. It does a really good job of summarizing, deleting the code out of that that's unused. Like, oh, this part was it's in there, but it's not referenced anywhere else. You can get rid of this temp table. So it's really good for getting me 60 to 70% of the way there, helping to understand garbage code that somebody else wrote 5 years ago with no documentation, and then I can pick up the pieces and write something. But
Exactly.
the to the topic of the FabCon, I'll mirror what you said on all the new stuff coming out with Tyndall, and that experience of kind of having both at the same time for much more real time modifications of the model, and getting the feedback kind of directly in the file, I think is going to be really useful. We've gotten that experience a bit already with the Deneb custom visual designer, where you
Yes.
edit code, instant feedback. So that kind of just mirrored side by side, I think will lower the bar on complexity for a lot of people who I think will start to get more comfortable touching stuff. Like they make a quick change, they instantly see, and they can like control Z and undo if they need to. So I think it will make it a lot easier to play around and break stuff, so to speak, and just explore the language without having to separately edit the code, save it, reopen the file, see changes and all that. So I'm hoping this increases the adoption a lot of people starting to explore Tyndall before they eventually take the plunge into using Visual Studio Code or Tabular Editor or other things like that.
Yeah, and also not sure if it's coming or not, but if they take also that step also for the reporting part, I think that will also help, because currently both of them have a very similar structure where you have one folder and one file for each of the visuals if you are talking about the page, or for each of the tables if you are talking about the model. So Rui Romano showed there an example of, and I will also show on this an example of, I want to reuse a table that I have on my calendar table or something like that. I can just copy paste the file from one Power BI report to another one, and I don't need to do anything else. Of course, we can always copy Power Query and all of that. But we need to open the advanced editor, make a copy paste, or just copy the query into the Power Query. And using this new option, you just drag and drop a JSON file and just open the report, and everything is there. So that one is also very exciting, because I think people are more used to just doing copy paste. If you tell them, if you just copy this file from folder A to folder B, they will understand, right? If you tell them, you need to open Power Query and copy the query, and then they will lose their mind, right? Sometimes.
Well, that just gave me an idea, and I don't know if this exists on the Power BI ideas, but you know how in Excel you can right-click, move sheet to new file? Like you can kind of copy a page between Power BI if you just Control A, select all, copy paste. You can do the visuals, but that doesn't take any bookmarks or filter pane filters with it. It someday in a video, and I think the report viewer, if we ever get that someday, would get close to that. But also, if we ever just got the option to right click on one of the tabs at the bottom and say copy and just paste into another file, that would be really nice. I know likely that won't happen because there is a lot of complexity on the visual IDs and everything else that it would be very complex to actually migrate that between. But if we ever could get that, that would be really cool.
Not sure if now we are not more into that point, because currently you can already copy a bookmark, and the current structure of the pages is as a bookmark for itself, a bookmark folder for itself, and you can copy paste that folder inside another one, and everything works perfecly. And the
as
idea
long as it has the same visual IDs,
no problem. No. The visual IDs doesn't matter. No, the only thing that matters, because, and that's a cool thing that I learned when I started to work with the Power BI project. I thought that the IDs that we had there on the report, also on the relationships everywhere, we had that ID that was automatically generated, and I thought, this is very important because this is a random number, right? That takes into account a specific set of rules. What happens is that we can have everything there. The only thing that we cannot have is a duplication inside the same report. So if you have that ID that is duplicated with another one in the same with another visual, it doesn't work. But if you just change one character, everything still works. Or if you just delete that row, because when you delete that row and you resave your file, it will regenerate that code. So everything works, no problem. The only thing that does not work, and that part is important, and I will also showcase that in part of my demo, is the names of your measures or your columns or your tables. Why? Because when you add something to your visuals or to your filter pane, it is locked on the name and on the table that object is saved. So, but again, with the developer mode, you can just do a Control F and just replace everything at once. So that problem that people used to have, I want to change one metric name. Now where is this metric? And it was all over the place, right? And you would lose 20 hours just to find out in what pages they were, what's filters and sub-filters. And now it's much easier. That's the only concern we need to have is the names and the tables where those specific measures or columns we are using on the visuals they are located.
And I think we've hinted a little bit at some of the stuff that you will be going through your demo today, but since this is your first time onto the channel, I think let's also spend a minute if you want to give a little bit of an introduction on yourself, who you are, what you do, and then we can kind of use that to segue into talking about some of the cool things we'll get into today.
Okay, sure. So I'm Miguel. I'm from Portugal. So I worked for around 20-something years in finance. So I did everything in finance from accounting to management control, business analytics, all of that. And I did a lot of Excel, lot with VBA, with macros in the spreadsheets. I was from macro 4.0. I did some of those also. So, but then when Power BI came up, I looked at it and I thought, well, this is pretty cool because I started to work with Power BI while it was in Excel, in the Power Query, when it was Power Query, Power Pivot, and another one that I don't remember the name, before the Power BI. When I picked up Power BI, Power View, yes, correct.
There you go.
So when I picked up Power BI, and when it went available, I signed up in the first day for the free account. So it was possible to do and it's still possible to do the sign up for the free account. And I started to use it, and I started to develop an interest in it, and I also started to answer in the community and all of that. This brought me to my current job. So I think 3 years ago, I was invited by Rui Romano, so the guy behind the project, the Power BI project mode, one of the guys. He told me, I see your involvement in the community. I think you know what you are talking about. Would you like to go to consulting in this area of data analytics? Because you have all this background, not only on the data, but also on the business side. And this is difficult to get someone that talks with both parties, right? And I came to work in this area, and currently I'm working for an American company, iLink Digital, as a lead BI consultant and architect, and I'm developing Fabric projects. So it's been this last year has been very interesting because I've been learning not only on Power BI but also on everything else that is on Fabric. So notebooks, warehouses, lakehouses. I'm still not a Python developer, but I'm starting to write some notebooks in Python. So, but basically that's it. That's my
I feel like
my role.
Well, just on your point of learning some languages, I feel like a lot of us in that space have benefited from the expansion of the advanced coding that has come to certain platforms. Like, I would assume you learned VBA probably in parallel with Excel, because I think that was needed a lot for that. And I only learned as much as I ever needed for a particular project. I never really took like VBA courses, but per project, depending on what fancy button they needed to make or automation, you learn that. Same with now, I think the notebooks have forced, by intention or otherwise, a lot of people to kind of start to dabble in Spark, Python, or even SQL a little bit. So it just because it integrates so well. So it's nice when you get the ability to go advanced when you want to on some of those. Though I will say, at least of all the languages, I hated VBA the most. I don't know anybody who actually personally likes VBA. I know plenty of VBA developers, but nobody who particularly enjoys that language, because it's such a, like, you sneeze and it breaks kind of house of cards.
I use it because I needed it. So
Yeah.
basically that was it. So yeah,
Mhm.
I learned a little bit about it. So I started working with it almost pre-internet, not pre-internet, but it was almost like that. And I was learning from the guy that was sitting near me, and we were like exchanging ideas. But it's a good way to see the how we can develop our career. And as you are saying, so currently now people are going. So if you have someone that is on SQL and that is and I also learned SQL because I had to, let me because I was doing some Excel files and they were connected to SQL, and I wanted to add some columns and remove some columns, and IT was taking forever to do that, and I just asked him, just give me the connection and I will see what I can do. And I saw, okay, this is pretty similar to the first queries I did in Access. So let me try. And then I learned SQL. But as I was saying,
Yep.
you see people that are mainly SQL. And I'm currently on a project that is funny because they are all about SQL, but they saw that the Python notebooks may work in their favor in some extent to some things, and they are like calling someone from the team that knows a lot of Python because they are building Python visuals in Power BI, and they are working together just to move from SQL to Python and have those engagements and those Fabric notebooks working much better.
And another good mention of the great use of ChatGPT is it's a Rosetta Stone. So like you have a SQL script, how would I write this in Python? You have a Python script, how would I
Exactly.
write this in SQL? Or just translating SQL to Power Query. I've had it do a pretty good job of even do M language steps. So it's a great way to migrate a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
But coming
correct.
to the idea of some of the advanced things that we've been talking about, some of the languages, but also to the topic of the day today, what um, where will the demo and discussions be taking us?
The demos and discussions will be taking us to look into the developer mode from the user perspective, and how we
Mhm.
can just making use of simple language, because it will be a very readable language, how we can
Mhm.
just make changes to our reports. The only question currently is that they don't reflect immediately on the desktop version, so you need to reopen the desktop. But it's pretty handy to have, because, as I said, if you want to quickly change a line of code in 200 reports, it's much easier to do a search and just replacing all of them. And for you talked about Visual Studio Code, and I started to use more the Visual Studio Code because of Power BI Developer Mode, because we can open a folder or we can open 20 files at the same time and just change them immediately. And that flexibility, it's really, I think, in my opinion, it's not only for developers, although it's called developer mode. I think that most of the time when the users hear developer mode, they think, oh, this is for someone that does Power BI 24/7, something like that, and is very proficient in development languages and all of that, because we can already do scripts using tabular editor or using other tools that are over there available, like APIs and all of that. But we can do the same just using just reading the files that we have, and you will see that
Yep.
the JSON files are very, very straightforward.
Exactly. If you're ready to get started, I can flip over to some of
Yeah,
the slides we have.
sure.
Excellent. There we are.
Okay.
And if you can go full screen too, just to make it a little bit bigger for the audience, that for the deck or presentation mode. Oh, we need to get your
Oh,
So it's sharing the last. It always
okay.
there we go. Yeah. Now we're good. Okay, cool.
Okay. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. So yeah. Let me just Okay, so just really quickly, I will try to talk a little bit about what is Power BI Developer Mode, what are some of the benefits that we can have, that we can and then some of the limitations, because this is still in preview, so we still have some limitations and considerations. We will talk about the folder structure, because this is the important part of this project, and then the main files. Although currently the main files are a little bit more, in the previous version there were 2 main files, but currently we have several ones that are important to know. And then we'll see, hopefully we are able to see the demo and showcase everything that I prepared. So Power BI developer mode. So basically, as I was saying in the previous bit, who is a Power BI developer mode? Currently, I think that we have everyone, and the self-service brought this one, right? So previously on BI tools, we had a lot of technical expertise that was needed, but currently the self-service tools allows that anyone without any knowledge to quickly start building a Power BI report and take insights from their data. So this being said, this brings that the Power BI developer mode is not only for developers. Although Power BI developer mode brings focus the capabilities of supporting scripts, APIs, source control, continuous CI/CD, and this is where I think we usually lose all the business users that are building Power BI reports, the CI/CD, because people will always hear about talking about Azure DevOps. But I can tell you that for everyday user of Power BI, the developer mode can do CI/CD using just the OneDrive or the SharePoint folders, because you just need to store your file somewhere. And currently OneDrive and SharePoint folders allow you to bring that previous version alive. It doesn't allow you to compare versions, but allows you to pick up the previous version. And on some sense, you have some CI/CD, not as a comparable one. Okay, and I know over here I'm not going into the specific or what is CI/CD. Okay, I know I'm not saying the correct terms about CI/CD, but what we can get with OneDrive, for example, is to get that. Okay, I need to revert back to my previous week version, and with those tools you can. Of course, CI/CD is much more than this. Okay.
I do want to just on the SharePoint thing though. Microsoft actually recommends not to use OneDrive and SharePoint though with project files, because there's so many pieces, and the problem is if it's constantly cloud syncing, it can cause issues and like actually corrupt things sometimes between all of that, because you have to roll back every file to the previous version. Like it's not impossible, but it is like officially my understanding is like they suggest not using OneDrive anymore. Once you have a project file, only use Git integration with that. Just because the problem of if you have like 100 files constantly being saved every time you click the save button, you get sync issues sometimes with that, or the file is locked because it's read only as it's uploading.
Yeah, on that part I agree. But what I'm referring over here is that sometimes most of the users that have this type of needs are persons that only have 1 or 2 projects, and it's one file or something like that. So that's why I'm referring that. I'm not, as I said, I'm just using the CI/CD as a very broad term, right?
Yep.
But we can use those tools also to make the storage. Although that is on the limitations. We cannot save the PB files directly on the OneDrive. But again, the project allows you to save your reports and your artifacts dataset as individual plain text files in a folder storage. So main benefits. This is a text editor, so basically you can open it with Notepad, basically. So no need to have advanced information on your advanced programs on your computer. It's programmatically generating and editing your artifacts. In this case, we have the two two terms. We have the TMSL, so the tabular model scripting language. This was the previous version until I think 6 months ago. Since August, and then until August, sorry. And then in August we had the GA of the TMDL, the TMDL, as they were talking about in Fabricon Europe. That is tabular model definition language, where, so in the previous one we had one file, there was the bin file that was all our data set information or all our metadata into a single file. It was readable a little bit. And then now we have, for each one of our tables, for each one of our artifacts inside our model, we have a specific file, and then we have one for the relationships and one for the measures, if we are having a separate table for them. So this makes it much more readable, and you will see that it's easier to read. This option, the tabular model definition language, is already also supported by tabular editor and by the, I'm missing the name of the other tool, the ALM toolkit. Okay, so you can already do this type of updates in your reports, and in this case in your semantic models, through those two tools also, because they also support the TMDL. And then the source control, as I said, so Git and DevOps allowed to resolve conflicts and do merge and all of that, and also the system validations. Some limitations. So currently, Power BI is not aware of the changes with external tools. As I said, in Fabricon Europe 2 weeks ago, they announced the TMDL viewer on the desktop, so it will be another alternative that we will have. Currently, they said that they are only supporting update on the create and update on this TMDL viewer, but they want to do much more. So they want to do additional query scriptings that are automatically done, and we just need them to change the line of code that you need with the measure name or whatever it is. Sensitivity labels are still not supported, and then we have some of them, as you can see. PBIP cannot be saved directly on the OneDrive, so you can save it locally, and then it will go to the OneDrive. As you said, maybe it's not a good option because it will always need to sync 100 files at a time. But again,
I wish OneDrive had just an option, because you know how you can keep local or cloud only to save space. It would be nice if you could mark a folder as a commit folder in OneDrive, where it never saves changes to a particular folder in your OneDrive environment, unless you just right click and basically just say update. You could assign per folder the ability to manually push updates rather than pausing your entire OneDrive on your system icon. If they could add that one small piece, I think this would have a lot less friction for syncing. Yeah.
Hopefully they will do that. I don't know, but again, and I have to tell you, when I was talking about this, and usually I was talking with some persons at Fabcon, and they were telling me, oh, if you are just doing it with one file, just showcase it with OneDrive. So yeah, again, it depends on the use case, but if it's a small use case, maybe people can use the OneDrive. Again, be careful because of the sync, but yeah, using Git, it's also easy to set up a Git account and just to do the sync. Depends on the options people have, and again, if they are storing it also in a server somewhere on-prem, because there are a lot of users that usually use on-prem, they can also store it there, and usually those type of solutions always have backups and doing every day or every week, so it can also be an option. So in terms of the folder structure, we have two main parts. So all the folders will have the project name, and over here the project name basically is the name of your file. So if you call your file report, sales report, it will be sales report dot semantic model, and then a sales report dot report folder. So we'll have these two folders. Inside these two folders is where we will have the files regarding the semantic model or the report folder. And then we have a file that is the pbip file that basically isn't needed, because this is just a pointer to open the target report. If you delete it, there is no problem, because you can open through the report folder, but it's automatically created and you can just open it. And then you have the files for the git ignore when you are doing the CI/CD, so where you can define what the files should not be integrated into the git, so and they are ignored. So a basic structure, nothing very very complex. And then in terms of the semantic model, as I said, we had the two main languages. So we had the TMSL. That one saved the single file that was the model bin. This was a JSON file that was readable, but we had to add a lot of breaking characters, a lot of hashtags, double quotation, those types of things to break the lines and everything be readable by the Power BI desktop and also by the service. But the Tyndall contains one folder that for each table has one file, and all those files have all their definitions inside. So we can see very clearly what is each definition for each one of the files. Also, they are developing in terms of Visual Studio Code for the ones that like to use Visual Studio Code. They are working on an add-in that will have IntelliSense on the Tyndall. So this will allow you to, if you are just trying to add some new feature inside your Tyndall, you can just write, okay, column name, and it will say, okay, this is correct, it's column name, or this should be just name because you are inside a table and we don't use column name. So this is not the correct example, but it's you understand what I mean in terms of the IntelliSense.
And also, quick question before you,
yes,
just before we go on from the audience. So, question on one of the limitations around the report linguistic schema, and if you have any additional information on why that's not supported.
No, I don't have any information why this is not supported. No.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I know they are developing a lot on top of the Tyndall. A lot of things are being added. But don't know that question. But everything can be added through text editor or tabular editor as you may require. So one thing that is also available using this type of syntax, being the TMSL or the Tyndall, you get available all those definitions that previously were only available through tabular editor, and this is a good option. Why? And we have some things that are being opened up in the Power BI desktop or in the service when we see the semantic model. For example, previously we were not able to turn on or off the fact that a specific model has implicit measures or not. So if they are turned on or off, that option is currently available on our desktop version. We can turn it on or off, but there are a couple of them that are still on the background that we cannot change them directly, and we need to go to tabular editor. For example, one option that we have is there is a specific setting. If you want to have a number to be with a single select, like we have the
single value slicer.
Yeah,
yes,
the single value slicer.
Yeah.
You need to set up a specific definition on that column to have it working, or on that table. You can, through the Tyndall, you can turn on that option. Why? Because it's just code. It's just reading that code. So if you add that property to your table, to your column, it will make it available. So all those features, since we are doing programmatically and we know what we are searching for, we can do it. Okay, so and hopefully that IntelliSense that they are building will help us also to present all of those options and understand what we have available or not. And then we have the report folder. So we have over here, I call it the legacy because it was the previous version, where we have all our visuals in a single report JSON file. So we have the visuals, the page layouts, the bookmarks, everything. And now the current one, the enhanced PBR, has each page, each visual, each bookmark as a separate folder and an individual's file within the structure folder. So this is a great way to showcase, to see your report, although the naming, as you will see, is not very friendly, but we can make some changes to see it. But it's a step in the right direction, I think. And again, this is ideal for anyone that is doing development side by side. So as I said, so we are using not for CI/CD, okay, but we are using OneDrive as a way to have a backup. Mm-hmm. We are overseeing also our structure. I'm doing two major things on this demo that usually I got when I was doing the Power BI by myself. So when I was on the other side of the table when I was working in finance. One thing is, and this happened to me a lot, I created two reports and all of a sudden someone said, okay, now I want to merge them into a single report. I want to have all these pages in this new report. So, and this goes along what you asked previously. If we can copy, what are the problems? Should we be careful with any of the IDs in each visual? What happens, okay? The other one is, okay, so I build 20 reports, all of them is based on sales. And I know there is a lot of users that usually, and I have, this question pops up a lot when I'm doing some trainings is, okay, I've built a sales report for my salesperson one, and then I picked up the same report, everything the same. I left the data set connected to that report. I just copy over, and I did the new report. But now, how can I merge? What should I do? And usually, what we say is you should have one single data set, and that single data set should be connected to all your reports. But making the split between report and data set after having everything built is not that easy, right? You need to use an external tool, or you need to do some Power Query, you need to delete everything and just connect. And we will see how we can easily just make that change from a report that is not connected to the new connection online in this case. And then I will also showcase how we can change the background really quickly on a report, but this can be on all reports because this happens a lot on companies that they are changing a theme or they are changing the operating visual image, right, of the company. And all of a sudden you need to change 100 reports. You need to change all the themes or all the backgrounds for your reports because someone change the color of the company from blue to light blue, for example. So, and it's always a mess to do that change. So, can you see my screen?
I can. Yep. PBI projects, Reed
okay.
Havens.
Yeah. Okay. So I have over here a couple of reports. So this report, AdventureWorks, I already saved all these reports in PBIC format. But let me just open up for you to see. This report has a couple of small questions that are problematic, but we are going to handle it. So the first thing is that someone built a lot of blank pages over here. And if I want to delete this, I have to go one by one and just delete. This is one. And the other one is that the background is just a plain background, and we need to add over here some logo. Okay. Basically, these are the two main things that I have on this one. And the other question is, on top of this report, I also have another one that I didn't save over here. That is a budget report, and that budget report should be added to this one. First of all, before we go to the folder structure, we should go to the options and turn on. Over here, I already have it turned on, but if you go over here to the preview features, you can see over here, let me just check where it is. Currently it's not on already. You don't need to turn it on because it's over here. So as you can see, Power BI project save option, and then we have the store TMDL format and store the enhanced metadata format. So turning on these two options is what gives us those optimized format of a file per each table and one file per each visualization we have. Okay, so I have this turned on, and when we do file, save as, we can then select what we want, how we want it. We just need to select the PB. As I said, I already have this saved. I won't save it again, but I already have it saved. So going back to the project format, as you can see, we have over here, let me just check one thing, just turn on zoom it so that it's easier to pinpoint something. So as you can see over here, we have our AdventureWorks reports to clean connection. So this is the name of our report. And then we have the same folder, but with semantic model. And then we have that one that we were seeing was this specific one, AdventureWorks report, that we have also the report and the semantic model. And the budget is also with two semantic models. And then we have this online report. The difference between this online report and the other ones is that this online report is connected directly to a semantic model online. So in this case, we have the separation between online report and semantic model. Okay, that's why this specific one, when we store it in terms of project, it only shows one folder. And at the bottom, as I said, we have over here our PB files that each one has their own connection. As I said, if you don't want to go through these files, you can go directly over here into the report and open the definition PB here on the report, and this opens the report itself. You will see that this report is exactly the same. So this takes a few seconds, hopefully not a lot. So it's the same report as we had previously. So you see all those blank pages that we have, and the sales summary, we have the background that is not turned on. As you can see, this also always refers that has the enhanced format turned on. So let's go to Visual Studio Code. In this case, as I said, I like Visual Studio Code because it allows you to just go over here and open a folder. And in this case, let's open our project format folder. And we can see that we have all our folders over here. So our to clean report, our AdventureWorks, and our budget. So I forgot to show you the budget one, sorry. Let me just open the budget one so that you can see. So the budget one is a simple one. It's a report that basically has some budget information based on the sales by color and by month and year. So very simple. We have the budget table, we have the calendar and the color table. So as you can see, it's nothing very fancy. And we have this report. So basically what I want, someone did this on the side, but we need to integrate this because it doesn't make sense to have a budget and then don't compare it with the actuals and see how is it evolving. So to do the merge of this, we could do two things. So we could go over here, transform data, copy paste the Power Query, go to the other report, paste it back, load it, then just do as you were saying, Reed, just do Control A, right? Control A, copy everything, paste it on the other page, but we have to do a new page. If we add some filters on this page, we should redo it also, because the copy paste doesn't copy the visuals. And even if we have some hidden visuals, we need to be careful because sometimes they are not copied. So it's a big mess to do it manually, right? Let's see what we can do in this format. So in this format, let's not work yet in our Visual Studio Code. We don't need to work yet on our Visual Studio Code. Let's go to over here to let me just do one thing, just split this into two. Sorry, let me just do it like this. Okay, so let's put one to each side. So let's go to our pbip. Let's just do it like this. Let's open on our left side. Let's open our AdventureWorks report. Okay, so and let's start by our semantic model. As I said, the semantic model has not only the definitions of our model, and when we talk about definitions, as you can see, we are talking about our model TMDL and our relationships, and we have all our tables. And for each one, I have a TMDL file. If we open these files, and let's go back to Visual Studio Code, just to see, we can see that this is very simple and it's very readable. So we can see that the name of the table is calendar. The lineage tag was what we were referring. This is not mandatory to have it over here. If I delete it, when I save the file, it will recreate a new one, but I can also write over here calendar table lineage, and it will accept this name, no problem, okay? So this, usually people tend to worry about it. I would also worry about it previously, but now that I understand how it works, we don't need. So, and then you can see for each column, we have all our information. So we have, in this case, it's a date time, it's formatted as a short date, it's not summarizing. The source column is dates, because this is based on a SQL. In this case, this table, also this file also presents all my Power Query transformations that I did. As I said that this table is SQL. No, this table is not SQL. The other ones are, okay? The other ones are connected to a SQL query. But as you can see, even when you are connected to SQL, you can see everything. And over here, we can see our SQL database and the connection to it. So very simple, very readable. As I said in the previous version, we had a lot of escape characters and all of that make this less readable. It was readable, but it was a little bit less readable. So over here, if I just want to add a step, I could just copy paste this, for example, and just, if I know how to write M code, I can write it over here and it will upload directly. But going back to our previous view, so I have my tables, and let's also do the same thing, open on our budget. Let's open the report and the definition. So we have our budget, we have our color and our calendar. Since I already have a calendar table, I will not copy this table, okay, because I already have it, but I will copy this too, okay? Just Control-C, Control-V, they are here, okay? So the next thing I need to worry about is that these tables in that particular model add some relationships. So let's go back over here to our Visual Studio Code, and this can be done in any of the text editors. Let's go to our relationship. As you can see, the relationships are very simple to read. So we have the relationship ID. In this case, it was auto-detected by the model. And we have the from column and the to column. Nothing more, just this, okay? Let's just do copy-paste of these values. Let me just do one thing over here. Let's open our AdventureWorks report and just open on the side. So, yep, so this is one. And let's just This is one. This is the budget one. Let me just close. Don't save. I don't want to save the calendar. Sorry. Let me just. And now on our. This is our relationships. And now let me open this one over here. So we have the one for Adventure Works that is over here. And as you can see, we have a lot of relationships. So, and we have the one for the budget. So let's just Control C also, and go to this model and just add this to over here. It's very picky about the tabs, but we can see that we need to have the relationships at the same level of the other ones. And let's just save this relationships Adventure Works. Okay, so let's save this. And now let's go back to our report. So basically what we need to do, just go back to our Adventure Works and just open this report. So we will see that pretty easily we are able to move two tables from one side to the other one. The first thing when we do changes to the team though is that he will ask us to apply the changes. So it's exactly as you do in Power Query. So let's apply the changes. And it will ask us to refresh. In this case, since we added two tables, the budget one and the color one, this is the one that is going to ask us to update. So it's just refreshing those two because the other two were already there. So, but we already have the tables, right? So the tables are here, no problem. We have our color, but we still don't have our page of our report, right? So let's close this once again. Let's save the changes because it was just a refresh so that when we open it, it doesn't ask again. Let's go back to our Explorer. And now let's open the report part. So let's open the report page. So over here, the definitions, and you can see for each page, we have a report section. This is where we have problems because each name is coded in the lineage tag. And this is difficult to understand. In this case, I just want to copy, the full page of my report. So I can just go to our definitions, pages, and copy this folder, this exact folder structure as is. So I just select over here and just paste it in. After pasting it in, there is another thing that we need to do to make everything work, okay? That is, we need to go to our, to our definitions of our report. And there is one, as you saw, that is called pages. There is a JSON file that is called pages. This JSON file is very interesting. Why? Because this does two main things. So this not only has all our pages identified, but also has the order of our pages. So in this case, as you can see, what we are over here referring to is each one of these folders. But in fact, it's not the folder. Let me just change this. Why? Because this folder name has the name of the page. Do you see over here? Although the display name
do you
of
have
this,
in there?
Over here, 20 something.
Okay, it's not too many. At least it's not 100.
Yeah, but let me show you one thing, and that's really one thing that I want to show you next. But as I was saying, so it stores the pages as with this ID, okay? This report section was the previous version because this file was firstly saved on the previous version, and these two pages were created after. That's why we have these changes. But what is storing in that pages JSON is that name that we have on this page JSON. Okay, so let's just do one thing. Let's copy this name and let's just add it over here. Okay, just this. Let's do a comma. Okay, so let's see what we have over here. So as I told you, part of this report was that it had blank pages, a lot of them, right? And if I'm not mistaken, the first 3 pages were correct. So these 3 pages were correct, and the last one was also. So all of these pages need to be deleted. So if I go over here, and over here it's easy because each folder does not have visuals, it's just a page. So if I start to delete, let me just go back over here. If I start to delete all the reports that only have page JSON and don't have the visual, I can start to clean up my report. And let me just delete a couple of them. So let me delete this one. Now let me delete also this one and this one. Okay. Okay, so let me just check really quickly what was the ones that I deleted so that I can check. So the ones that I deleted was the 5. It was this page that I deleted. It was also the section 2A. So section 2A, it was this one. And then it was also the section 4E. So section 4E, it was this one. So, okay, so basically I just deleted this. Okay, let's see. So currently I should have less pages on my report, and I also should have a page that is the budget one, right? Let's just quickly move to our OneDrive once again. Go back to our AdventureWorks. We can open the definition PB here, as I said, so we don't need to go back to the PB file because it's just a shortcut to this file. And this, at the beginning, this seems really complex, but if we understand, okay, a page is inside a specific folder, then everything goes through it. So, oh, wait, I just deleted the, do you see? The last page that we have over here is the budget one. Okay, so let's see what happens in the budget page. So we have our value, right? Mm-hmm. So that page and that table that I picked up from the other report was automatically in between brackets placed into our report. Okay, so what I can do now, for example, is just to pick up my sales and just add it over here to my visual. And if I do this, now I can see this has an error. Why? Because I need to have a relationship that was not present on the other one between my color and my product table. So, but if I do this, and I just do this relationship.
It's funny, you made a star scheme out of color exactly like I've done before in some of my demo files.
Yeah, it's a simple thing. So, but now if we go to our report, as you can see over here, let me just check. This should be, let me go up, and I'll just drill down to the lowest level. Let me do a filter on my, just take out this one. Let me just add a slicer over here for the year. And this will allow us to just, so if I do this, now you can see that I can compare both my sales and my budget. Even more, if I look at the data that I have over here, is that my budget, and let me just go over here, my budget is 2024, goes until next year. But my calendar table currently doesn't go. So I could have two options. I could go to the calendar. Let me just check one thing. I think, let me just check one thing. Sorry, that this part I'm not remembering correctly. So let me just do a sort based on year. So do you see? My calendar stops at 2023. So I could just simply go to my calendar table and just change the calendar over here and could update it because this is doing manually. So, but I could do it. So I did this to be current year, but we could change this to the next year. So it's just, wait, why is this not giving me 2024? So if it's current year, it should give me 2024. So something is happening over here on this file. I have a lot of I redone a lot of things, but basically you understand the basic point of this. I just copy an entire page with this. The only question that we have, and we need to be careful with when doing this, is if this specific page has bookmarks, when you store this page with bookmarks, it will, let me just check it. I think I have a file that has that specific one. Let me just check. Sorry, just a second. I think on this one, yeah. No, this is Direct Lake. Okay. If you see, when we are in when we have bookmarks, there is, but I have it. Yeah. When we have bookmarks, there is a bookmark folder, as you can see. And so if you are copying pages that have bookmarks, you also need to copy this bookmark folder, okay? Just a heads up, or the specific bookmark, right? If you already have bookmarks on the other report. So when you are copying from one file to the other one, just be careful with that. So, but as you can see, and going to your question at the beginning, when we copy pages, it will give problems with ID. As you saw, no problems with ID, no problems with nothing. The only question that we had on this specific report was that I needed to add an additional relationship, in this case, color to color product. So pretty easy. As you can see, we have all our pages over here. Page 2, previously we had page 1 also. I deleted that page, and we are also skipping page 10. So the ones that I deleted the folder, they are gone from our report. So if we want to sort the order of these pages, so we just need to go, let's save this.
And as you're moving over to the other one, just a quick question on pages themselves.
Yes.
Can you rename specific pages to your choice in those folders and files, or is it a specific ID that can't be changed?
No, you can change it, as I said. So going back to the Visual Studio Code, when we are talking about over here, this report section, right? And let's look at this report section. Let me just search over here really quickly. We have this one in several places. So we have this one on the page that I'm seeing right now. It's this one. But I also have this on the activate page. So this is the active page. And I have then this on the specific page itself. So if I go over here to this file, this is the specific page where I have all my definitions, background, and so on. So if I change this name to page 1 name, okay. Let me just do over here, replace of all of them. Let's replace. Here you already the content. Let's compare really quickly. As you can see, yes, some differences. I want to keep. This is the good thing of having this. We want to keep this page 1, right? So I just changed the full name of that page. So now let's see what happens when I open my report. So let me just go back to my definition. Hopefully, if everything goes well, it won't break anything. So the only question is, it's not the folder name itself that we need to change. It's that page. And then we can also rename the folder, no problem. So, because I think that question has two aspects. So the page itself, right? Oh, it's not this one, sorry. It's not this one. This was the previous one, sorry. It's over here. It's on this one. Project. And let's just go over here to Adventure Works PBIP. And if we, again, this name that is with strange characters is just the lineage tag that it adds to that specific page. Then we can rename it to whatever we want. In this case, the active page name is not found, so we need to update it on the active page, although everything still works properly. So I have the sales summary over here. It went to the end because of the way I store the information, okay? But I renamed this page. This was the page that was changed. It was a question when I saved it, where it went, but everything is working. As you can see, there is no problem in having that name. We can also change the name of the folders, no problem. That is even easier. Why? Because when, as I said, we are not accessing the folder itself, we are accessing the file that has that specific name. Okay. Yep. I think it answered the question.
Perfect. Thank you.
So we just copied from one file to the other. The other part is, okay, so I have a report, and in this case, I have this online report. Let me just open it really quickly. I have this online report, and this online report is basically the same structure that we have over here. Let me just close this without the budget one, but this report is connected to a semantic model live, AdventureWorks report informação. Okay, so it's a simple report, nothing fancy, but all our tables are exactly the same. As you can see, there is only one thing that you need to see when compared to the one that we are seeing next. This one has a measures table, okay? Then we have another report that is this report to clean connections. And this report, as we can see, has not only the report, but also the semantic model. So we have the semantic model attached to this report. But I want to pick up this report, and this report, you will see that is exactly the same as the other one. So it's just for presentation purposes. So it's exactly as the first one that we were adding the budget one. But this report, I don't want it to have my data attached to it. I want it to connect to that report that is online. Couple of ways. Okay, we can go over here, just delete all the tables, break all of this, and then go home, connect to semantic models, or we can use an external tool to turn off the connection and then reconnect it. But we can also use developer mode. Let's close this and let's go again to our copy paste. So let me just open here on the left side. Let me open my online report. And on the right side, let me open the one to clean connections. So two major differences, I said. This one only has the report folder, and this one has the report and the semantic. So let's start by just deleting this folder, okay? I don't want it. I just want this cleanup report. And now the problem is, how does he know that I'm getting the correct connection? Let's go back over here to the Visual Studio Code really quickly. And let's see one thing. Let's go to this online report and let's see our definition. So as you can see, the definitions is connecting to a data source that is online. So my API, powerbi.com, and then we have our server name and our data set. If we go to our clean connections report, if we go to the same definitions, we see that it's connecting to our semantic model. So we need to change this. So we can just do one thing. We can just pick up the file from our online report, pick up this one, just copy and paste it on top of this. When I open this file, you will see that this will break, but this will break for one reason. This will break because of that question that I said, that this specific disconnected model or local model had no measure tables, okay? As you can see, what it's telling me is that sales order detail, total sales does not exist, because this sales order detail in this model, and we are now currently connected to the AdventureWorks online in training, as you can see. So it's the same connection, but the measures are over here. And you can say, oh, now we need to go and just do one by one, just look for total sales and just change it, right? Just do this and do it for all our visuals, right? And if I do this, everything will work. Yeah, but let's do it in a smarter way. Don't save. And if I go over here to my Visual Studio Code, I will open just the folder where I have that specific report, okay? Just to be sure that I don't change anything else on other reports, okay? Let me just go to this clean report. Let's do don't save. Now I only have that specific one. And now let's go over here and let's search for our sales order detail. And I can see that this sales order detail is defined in a lot of fields inside my JSON. So you see Visual 1, Visual 2, Visual 3, on the page JSON, on the visual. So we have lots of changes. I can assure you that in this case, all my information that is on the report from the sales order detail are only measures, okay? So it's not columns. I'm not using any columns from this table. So I can just replace this by the measures table. If I do this and I do a replace all, I have 72 occurrences within 15 files. So if I had to do it manually, I had to change 72 times in Power BI, just click on a field update, 72 times. And let's do this by 20 reports, 72 times by 20. So as we had, we just need to see how long it would take. So sorry, this is not the one I want to open.
It's also good to mention, like with this, is even in Tabular Editor, you'd only be able to do one at a time, I believe, with some of these batches. So this lets you do batches across essentially a tenant if you needed to for certain things.
Yeah, and on this case, I'm changing the report, not the semantic model, and this is a good thing, right? Because the semantic model, as you said, we have a tabular editor to make batch changes using scripts. But as you can see, now everything is working, and I didn't need to do any changes to my model. So everything is working, nothing is broken. So I just change all my measures to my measure sales table without the need to do anything but the Control F, right? So easy, quick. And this is, I can tell you, I had one of my first engagements in the consulting was a customer that had a report with 100 pages, as you were saying previously. And we had connected to that model, we had that specific report, but we also had more reports. It was around 15 other reports. And then there were other reports that we did not have any knowledge of it. And they wanted to rename one measure, just one. It was a big problem. Why? Because we had to go to all those reports and change it. And then send it to the other ones, to the other users that were building reports on top of that semantic model and tell them, measure that was named sales now is called total sales. And everyone need to go open Power BI, change one by one. Like this, quick and easy. We can even do all of them at the same time. For example, if you, instead of saving this in this format, you can, for example, save them based on the online, on the semantic model they are connected to. And then you can just open that folder and rename everything at once. So really quickly, really easy. So another thing, this was, as you can see, wait, this is for my previous, from my previous engagement. So the previous session that I gave, I forgot to change this. So now what can I do? I can go over here, just change a canvas and do one by one, right? But there is an easier way. So we can go back to our AdventureWorks non-clean. If I go to the static resources and register resources, I can see that I have my background saved over here. In this case, since we have one background, it's the same background, but it's one for each page. It stores it twice, but you can change the JSON to only pick up one of these files, okay? So you can also, but in this case, let me do this in a very unpractical way. But let's just go back over here to our reports, and I have a background that I want to apply. So this background that I have my blog post over here. Let me just copy this over here, and let me just copy this name and just do this. And now let me just copy here and let me replace. And now let me just copy also this one and copy. Okay, we replaced both of them. Now let's go back and just open our definition file once again. And if everything goes accordingly, we are able to have our background change in one go. Of course, I did this manually. Okay, you can also create some batches or just automate this in any way. But now we have the new background without having to open each page and change it. So let's think about themes. You want to change all the themes in your company, right? In your reports. So if you go to the definitions, you have over here, sorry, on the resources. Sorry, let me just go back. Adventures. Let me just search for the theme. It's easier to search over here. Let's go back. If we just search for theme. Okay, this is the report. We should have a theme file somewhere over here. Theme.json. I don't have any theme, right? I don't have any applied theme. But if you store, let me just check one thing over here. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah. So yeah, base themes. So this, in this case, for example, this is on the shared resources. Correct. This is on the shared resources. So if you go over here, you have your base themes, and you can just replace those themes by any one that you would like. So if you just replace this file or you update it massively, you can easily just do a copy paste between folders and just replace all your themes. And this can work in a breeze. So, and then you can just, if you use CI/CD, you can just upload it online. One good thing also on this is that all of these features, and just giving, you can also do this using the new connector in Fabric that is Semantic Link Labs. And they also allow you to copy paste, and using this Tyndall source and also this Power BI enhanced version, you can do this copy paste of themes and change all of your measures and all of that in a go. So yeah, but basically that's what I had to present. So what are the main usage? So the flexibility is a lot. It's an option if you don't have external tools available. So sometimes you are working in a customer that does not allow you to install external tools on a VPN or whatever it is. So it's an option. Improve readability. Bulk updates, as you saw, I just did Control F and I just changed the table from sales order detail to measure tables. The copy paste, it's for everyone that is coming from the finance world. Copy paste is always a good friend alongside with the VLOOKUP, right, from Excel. And then the option to access page changes, specific visual definitions, and CI/CD over here, even with OneDrive with a big exclamation mark. So be careful with that. So but basically that's it. So yeah, I think it's a good alternative for someone that is trying to do development without having all the knowledge for external tools, for CI/CD, all of that sometimes people tend to don't have time or don't have the knowledge, right?
And I'd say in general, similar to the encouragement of use of tabular editor, I think the number one thing that can cause people to want to switch, because they're at a base level, there's nothing inherently wrong with just a PBX file using Power BI desktop. But at some point, if you hit of anything that's taking a lot of time, or it's something that can't be done without potential for errors, that's when you start to explore some of these other ones. So you've showed a lot of the bulk updates, the copy pasting, the ability to do mass changes across something, but also, essentially with a find or replace or something else where you need to make 100 changes, you might miss one or two if you're doing that manually. Just because your brain starts to rot at some point. Or
And
just
there is
yeah.
one. Sorry, there is one that I always miss when I'm doing that. That is when you use any column to do drill throughs, because the drill throughs are very even inside everything. So they are definition of the page, and people always tend to forget. Oh, I'm using this specific measure or this specific column in a drill through, and then when we start to try that is one example. So if I do the bulk, it just updates.
Exactly. And it's a time saver at the end of the day for a lot of this stuff. Like, it might initially take you longer because you're learning a new tool same again, just as tabular editor as a comparison, but overall, once you kind of realize those little patterns or scripts or anything else where there's a thing you like to use this for, highly encourage you to use it. Using Timdal, perfectly fine today. Just, there are some report limitations still with PBIR, but it's because it's in preview. It will not always be there. So that is something cool to explore, but I'd say, like, don't apply that company-wide just yet. Timdal's fine to switch for the entire company if you need to for the number of reports that you have for those situations. But encourage you, if you have that, to make sure to ideally be using Git as your integration rather than cloud storage, just because of the structure of the files and everything. But Miguel, this has been really good. You went through a lot of, I think, very practical examples of this stuff. If we have any remaining questions from anybody in the audience, we still have about 26 people left hanging out, so drop them with a queue in here now. But otherwise, for follow-up resources or anything else, I've tried to drop some related links as you've shown them on there, but do you have a summary of any best links or resources or articles to go check for people who maybe want to explore this a bit more? What are your
so
top three?
The first the top three is the documentation. I think they are doing a great work on documenting this on the Microsoft website, and that one is really flexible. And then we have information about TeamLab from Matthias. He also posted some things. Matthias Roche, I think I'm saying the name correctly, because he was also part of the...
Matthias Tierbach?
Tierbach, yes, sorry. Yes,
there you go. Yeah.
Correct, yes. Because
good friend of mine. I love him.
Yes. Sorry, I apologize to
No worries. Just making sure we're talking about the same Matthias. Yeah. You got half the name right.
Because he was part of developing this tool, and he also has he was...
I would go even further to say he was the father of it, because he came up with the idea for it, to my understanding, and maybe he'll quote me later. And then he worked with Rui to make it. But his PBI tools got so much traction from enterprise customers complaining to Microsoft, essentially, that why on earth is this custom tool doing all these things that you should be doing natively? So they're like, all right, like, clearly there's enough voice in the enterprise and complaints about us not supporting this officially. Let's go ahead and make this official. So it's one of the few times that I've ever seen anybody cause a large company to make such a drastic shift in their development path. Like, I think they would have gotten to it eventually, but we might have not had this for another couple of years. I think had he not gotten a lot of Fortune 50 companies to start getting angry at Microsoft for not supporting these things. So kudos to him for that.
Yeah, especially because if you go to the Microsoft site, you can see that they are pushing you to use Tabular Editor for this type of changes, right? They have a full documentation, and the questions about Tabular Editor and DAX Studio and all of that are coming in the PL300 and the PL600. So they are. So I agree with you that probably they would not do this without that additional pressure from Matthias and all the customers. But again, it's new things that are coming, but there is a lot of so the Git there is a Git repository for this that is built by the Microsoft team, and that Git also has a lot of information. It's a little bit difficult at the beginning to go through it, but again, as I said, when you start to understand, okay, this name is the lineage tag, and the lineage tag is on this specific file, then everything comes, and you'll see that it's a Lego brick, right? It's like, okay, we have a report, then we have the page. Inside the page, we have the visual, and inside the visual, we have all our definitions.
Exactly.
And if you go to the semantic model, so we have the semantic model, then we have the tables, and then we have the relationships, and everything is inside those two main files. So yeah, it's easy to start working with it, I think, in my opinion.
I agree. And I dropped some links in there for people to continue to check out some of the videos that I have with both Matthias, Rui, and a few others from the Microsoft team, and some other resources to check out. But Miguel, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on. And
thank you.
Like with any of my guests, highly encourage you, if you ever have other topics you'd want to share and get some exposure on, happy to get you back on at some point and share some additional knowledge. Okay,
I thank you so much for having me. As I said, I've been a big fan for many years. I've been using I've been stealing your techniques sometimes for my reports. So, but I think that's what's good about the community, because we can.
Oh, exactly.
There is so much.
Share it for a reason.
There is so much knowledge around, and as you said, this is a perfect example of something that was built in the community, but now is supported by Microsoft, and it's getting into the product itself. But once again, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, yeah. And everyone, enjoy your afternoon, evenings, or nights on this Friday, and have a great weekend as well. And yeah, again, thank you, Miguel, and I look forward to getting you back on again in the future.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Cheers, you too. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. And if you want to help support this channel, take a look at our channel memberships or our merchandise store for cool swag. And last but not least, please consider sharing this video on your social media platform of choice to help our channel grow. So, until next time.